Frank.
Wrong button. No. Why do we even have that button? Sorry. Oh man. We're all over the place today.
We sure are.
Just for the record, one of my favorite all-time animated Disney movies is The Emperor's New Groove. So a little reference there. Welcome everybody to the Unready room. Unready as always. I'm Dan Gunther. With me, of course, Brandi Jackola.
Hey.
How's it going?
It's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm fine. It's all good.
Okay.
We went and saw Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem last night, and it was amazing.
Fun. You mentioned that you were at the movies in a chat, and I was going to ask what you saw. That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yes, it's so good. So good. Well, I'm a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan from childhood.
Nice.
But I feel like this was my favorite representation of the characters.
Very
And
cool.
Dave, who knows the comics, says that it was a really close representation of the characters from the comics. So it was just, we had the best time. We had the best time. There are only 3 things that really niggled me. Number 1, do not glorify Ferris Bueller's Day Off. That guy is a sociopath. Number 2, that song What's Up by 4 Non-Blondes, I freaking hate. It's stupid. It's annoying. And it's not even, the chorus is What's Going On. But that's not the title of the song, because why would you do that? And then 3, don't show me vomit scenes, even in animation. Don't do that. That's it. Everything else was perfection.
All right. I saw Oppenheimer a couple days ago, which was also amazing, but not enjoyable on the same level, I don't think.
And they sure cut out a lot of parts of history in there too.
That's 3 hours. What can you do, right?
Yeah, let's not talk about all the people they made homeless by borrowing the Marshall Islands, and then what happened to those people after that? Do they cover that in the movie?
Nope. Well, anyway, we are not here to talk about current film, although that is fun. We should do that more often.
Fun. Yeah.
We are here to talk about Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 2, the final episode of the season, Hegemony. If you talk to most people that I know, Hegemony, if you talk to Captain Picard in Season 2 of TNG.
I always said it as a hard G also. So I always said it that way, but maybe I'm crazy.
I don't know, hegemony, both work. I just don't want to get pilloried by one side or the other. So both are good. Yeah, and obviously when these titles came out quite a while ago, we're like, ooh, the Gorn hegemony, something to do with them. No surprise. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we'll jump right into it. We start out with the Cayuga at the colony world of Parnassus Beta, just outside of Federation space. And
sorry, just the name Parnassus. Yeah, old Midwest town named Parnassus Beta. Sure. Nice job. Like it. I like it.
Well, first of all, I love that it's designed to look like a Midwest US town because obviously easy to shoot on location in some suburb of Toronto, yada yada yada, but also like very TOS, because how many colonies did they go to in TOS where it's like, oh, it looks like an old farming community or whatever, right? Old West town, sure. Yeah.
You send humans somewhere new to build a civilization. What do? They do what they know. They're like, oh yes, the quaint times of the 50s. Let's go back to that. You forgot all the other parts of the 50s, but that's okay. As long as you're living with future standards of living and everything just looks 50s-ish, I'm good with that. But do not bring the atmosphere of the world at that time into your settlement, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love that, like, it's a cost-saving measure, for much the same reason that, they shot on backlots that from other productions and stuff in TOS as a cost-saving measure, and it has that same feel. So I'm like, I'll forgive them that. That's kind of fun. I like that.
Yeah, I really didn't have a problem with it. I thought it was quaint and very sentimental, I guess.
Hmm.
Nostalgia. That's the word I was looking for. Very nostalgic
Yeah.
for a time that these people never even saw in real life, and that's fine. It's adorable.
Yeah. I will raise a little bit of a niggle that I think the author Christopher L. Bennett raised with regards to this episode, which was why is it always Midwestern US or whatever? Why isn't it like Meiji Japan or I'm like, I mean, we know the answer why, but
Yeah.
like in universe, it'd be like, I wonder if there'd be people that would want to throw back to that sort of thing. So, but
Yeah, I would
I
think
mean,
so. With all of the cultures that humans have come in contact with, and
mhm.
they still just pull out Midwest. Yeah. I mean, there are just even other cultures on Earth that they could have chosen, but no, American Midwest,
Yeah.
quaint, but short-sighted, myopic, I guess is the right word.
Yeah.
I'm coming up with words today, y'all.
Very nice. But I mean, yeah, like we said, we know the reason, but that's
Yeah.
okay. So yeah, we've got Battelle talking with Pike, and there's some interference and stuff. The one thing that I absolutely love from this conversation is that Pike makes reference to the last episode and says, "At least we're not breaking into song every 5 minutes or whatever." Um,
Loved that.
I thought that was great.
Yes.
But yeah, this communication gets cut off somewhat unexpectedly. And then back on the Enterprise, we get this distress call from the Cayuga that they're under attack by the Gorn along with the colony. So, yeah, not good. And they, race to the rescue, hopefully, of the Cayuga.
Yeah, and I guess that it's Chapel's bad luck that she hitched a ride on the Cayuga.
Yeah, not good.
No.
So the Enterprise has a lot of personal stake in this mission.
Mm.
Um, I maybe send some other ships as well, but I guess it's just the Enterprise that's going to be on the scene at least to start with.
Oh, we'll get to that. We'll get to my thoughts on that.
Okay. Yeah, I have
Mhm.
some thoughts about some stuff in this episode as
Mm.
well. So,
Same. Yeah.
but yeah, they arrive at Parnassus Beta and they see the debris from the Cayuga, and it does not look good. Pike knows from their communication, though, that Battelle was on the surface, and he quickly adds, along with a lot of her crew. So, but there was obviously a huge loss of life here with the whoever was aboard the ship, right?
Yeah.
And Spock especially is very concerned about this for obvious reasons.
Yeah, he doesn't know if she's on the surface or if she had beamed back to the ship. We, of course, know that she beamed back to the ship. And this is kind of classic behavior. It's like last episode, Spock's like, I'm not doing this again. And then the minute she's in danger, he's like, oh yeah, the feelings are still there. They don't just disappear. Oh crap.
Yeah. I just noticed the comments. I'm gonna put a comment I gave. That's a very good point. That's a
it,
very good point. We
it
have
it was
the
it was Scotland, sweetheart. Scotland.
well, no, we had the Irish people in Up the Long Ladder,
Oh,
and
oh.
yeah, exactly. And the
You generally
Scottish.
start at the top and work your way down. Oh, shut up. Sorry.
And then yeah, the Scottish colony in Sub Rosa. That's yeah, great. Good call, actually. Maybe just stick with stuff you definitely know, I guess.
Oh my gosh, that would actually make a really great cosplay. I mean, all I have to wear is like a flimsy nightie and a sheer robe and carry around this candle and get on one of my red wigs and there we go. I'm Crusher
Totally.
in Sub Rosa. And it would be really comfortable too. Ah, yes, I'll have to think about that.
Yeah. Um, Patrick, I had the same thought. We had Ensign Appel that um Captain Battelle is talking to. And yeah, I had the same thought. I was like, Appel, where do I know that name? Oh, Ed Appel, right? From Devil in the Dark. So,
Yeah, one of my
interesting.
most formative episodes of Trek as a young child.
Yeah,
Scared
definitely.
the jeebers out of me. It's filmed like a horror movie, guys.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, and they almost Rumpelstiltskin in that episode was almost a leprechaun before apparently Colmini raised a bit of stink over that. And good on you. I'm glad you did. Oof. But
Dave coming up with all the references. Love you, babe.
that's awesome. So yeah, we've got the Gorner showing up on the scene. There's a warp signature from the Gorn, and they've also sent a message to Starfleet, which Starfleet relays to the Enterprise. This demarcation line going right between the planet and the moon. All right, where my orbital scientists and all that at? Like, how does this make any sense? This does
It
not make any
doesn't.
sense.
It
The
doesn't.
the planet is orbiting the star. The moon is presumably orbiting the planet.
Mhm.
Nothing's gonna stay on any kind of line unless you start making it go like that, because that
Yeah.
that was kind of ridiculous. That drove me a little bit nuts.
It doesn't it only works in 2D.
Yeah.
Space is like 3D, you guys. There's an
Mm-hmm.
X, a Y, and a Z axis. A
Yeah.
line doesn't mean anything.
And not only that, this moon and this planet are going to be crossing all three of those axes and
Yeah,
in very short periods of time if it's a normal type system, right?
right.
So yeah, that bugged me. I was like, this thing of drawing lines in space between, especially within a planetary system, and not only that, within a planet moon system, like that makes no sense
No
at
sense at
all.
all. No. No.
No. All right. I'm glad I'm seeing people agreeing too. Tristan, thank you for validating me, because I'm like, what? No.
Yeah, also, TJ, I know that people have already done that cosplay. I wasn't saying it was gonna be original. I was just saying that I could do it.
I still want to see Brandy's take on it. Like, that's awesome.
Oh. Oh, I'm thinking about it. I've got 6 weeks until FanX. Let's see what I can come up with.
That would be awesome. So yeah, we get orders from Starfleet that they're not to cross that line. They're to hold their side of this nonsensical line. The Gorn so far are holding to theirs, but of course Pike is eager to assess the situation on the ground and try and rescue Captain Battelle and her crew, of
Oh,
course,
sure,
as
and
well.
all of the
Yes.
settlers, of course.
Oh, and them. Yes, yes, them.
Yeah,
Too. Yeah.
uh-huh.
Yeah, the settlers of Battelle 5. Parnassus, Beta, whatever. No, he's
Yeah,
not fixated at all in this episode. No. And not
no.
not emotionally compromised at all either. No,
Mm-mm,
for sure.
certainly not. Maybe this is why he kept pushing Battelle away, is because of situations just like this.
No. So yeah, they have also this backup equipment that apparently Starfleet has devised to better combat the Gorn. And as Ortega says in my favorite line of the episode, break in case of Gorn. Um, and yeah, these phasers and stuff. And the phasers, interestingly, I saw where the like more updated design that we saw Giorgio's Section 31 phaser
Yeah.
had, which that was interesting. They broke into, or they tapped into Section 31's resources possibly, and
Well,
which
Section 31 probably came up with the things.
yeah. uh Sorry, I'm just reading Patrick's comment here. And Dr. Aaron says we can't do that. For those who don't know, the science advisor for the modern Star Trek shows,
Yes.
Dr. Aaron, oh my goodness, Johnson? No.
No.
Aaron, oh my goodness.
I know her name
How
too, but it's
embarrassing.
escaping me. Come on, chat. Patrick,
Yeah.
you know.
Oof.
You know.
Ouch. Dr. Aaron.
I want to say McDonald, but I could be wrong.
McDonald.
Oh, it is
You're
McDonald.
right.
Thank you, TJ.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, so yeah, they can't warp past the debris. They can't. They decide they're gonna sneak through the debris with a shuttlecraft kind of made to look like a piece of debris and act like it. And who can pull off this amazing piloting stunt? Of course, Ortegas, who
And
has been clamoring to get on a landing party all season, and suddenly realizes that she should be careful what she wishes for. This is not probably the landing party she had in mind when she was expressing that desire.
yeah, but at the same time, I'm not sure anyone else could have done what she did and survived.
Hmm.
So, and that's another thing, the whole warping past the debris. I guess a good explanation for that, or a passable explanation for that, is that the Gorn sensors still would have picked up a warp signature, and even if
Hmm.
they do warp past the debris, that doesn't warp them onto the planet.
Yeah.
And so again, the Gorn would have detected them.
I'm assuming it would be like lighting up a flare basically and
Yeah,
announcing your presence, right? Which is the whole point, the whole thing they're trying to avoid. So
right.
yeah.
So I can kinda headcanon that.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. So yeah, we have this harrowing trip to the planet's surface. Um, I enjoyed a little bit of the dynamic in the shuttle with Pike kind of like, but for me, did anybody else feel like it went a little bit too far? Like Pike needs to kind of trust his officer a bit and not. I hate using this language. Don't be such a wuss. It
I
didn't scream Pike to me. It seemed a little bit too like, I don't know. He seemed too squeamish for Pike. I could be wrong. I don't know.
I feel like, and this is just a personal feeling, he's got so many other things going on in his brain right now that are competing with being the captain,
Hmm.
and one of those is his need to protect the people that he cares about,
Yeah.
which is part of his duty, or duty if you're British, and I think that all of these things, I may be making more out of this than it is, but I love to headcanon things. He may be just so focused on so many other things and just trying to sort it out in his brain, kind of like my brain is all the time, just 50,000 thoughts every second. And so he can't focus on anything else.
Hmm.
And honestly, how long has it been since he's had a really difficult shuttle mission, or done, or had been a test pilot? It's been a while. It's
Yeah.
been a while. And I think the older you get, because this has been my experience too, the older you get, the easier it is to make you nauseated from motion sickness or whatever.
Yeah, that's true. I'm remembering the last time I went on Space Mountain. I'm
Uh-huh.
like, oh, this isn't like it was when I was younger. Ooh.
Oh, yeah. The last time I went on that, oh, good grief, what was it called? The Star Wars ride where you're on the
Mm.
shuttle, and yeah, not the new one. I haven't been there in 20 years, guys, but,
Yeah, I know the one you
Star
mean though.
Tours,
Star
that's
Tours,
it.
thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. That was it. Yeah, we went on that, and this was, like, 20 years ago, and we're both just like, "Whew," and I don't get motion sick that easily. I sure do now. It's like, "Dude,
Yeah.
no. No, thank you." So I'm just gonna headcanon that,
Yeah, I
and
guess.
it's not great. It's still not great, but
Yeah,
it's
I
understandable.
didn't. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I didn't mind it per se. It's just I felt it went on longer than it should have, if that makes sense. I don't know.
I agree, and also, it completely reminded me of the Franklin falling off the cliff in Star Trek
Oh yeah.
Beyond. And it's like, "Oh, no, they're gonna crash," and all of a sudden it comes back up, and I'm just it was almost exactly the same scene.
Is very, I mean, very tropey. Like we've seen that sort of thing in other movies like, "Oh no, they've crashed. Oh, they're fine."
Yeah, but we know that they're not gonna crash. I mean, we
Exactly.
know that these people are going to survive.
Yeah.
So, it was like there were no real stakes.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. You know, similarly but completely different. I I love, yeah. Mm.
Love
Um,
it.
at the very beginning of the episode, I didn't mention this. I love the way that, like, they're on the surface and you see the shuttle drifting through the air, crashing, and just
Mhm.
that ramping up of the tension and unease from watching that happen. Like, that was brilliant, I thought, because, like, that whoever's in that shuttle, we don't know them. They're probably goners, right? And just that
Mhm.
the fact that it took so long and was so slow and they're just watching it was just like that was great television, I thought, for like ramping up the tension and making you feel like, oh my god, what is happening? That
Yeah.
was brilliant.
It is very intense. And the second time that we watched it, Dave's of course saying, "Hey, that's Scotty, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's
Mhm,
definitely Scotty." But
right.
spoiler alert, Scotty's in this.
Yeah,
And
I still hadn't made that connection. I was like,
yeah,
I assumed it was a Cayuga shuttlecraft, but no, of course. Right.
yeah, it
Sorry.
was that. No, it's all good. It reminded me of so many alien invasion movies too. So
Mhm.
just you see that one thing suddenly, that one explosion or that one plane crashing or yeah, like in what was it? I want to say it was The Last of Us. And I'm not talking about the television series. I'm talking about the game.
Mm.
Um Yeah. Anyway, um, it's not the first time that we've seen something like that happen, and everybody's just kinda standing there, and this is what we do. This is what we do as humans.
Totally.
We can't make sense of it, and we're trying to make sense of it, and while we're trying to make sense of it, the attack begins, and we get
Mhm.
slaughtered.
Yeah. Meanwhile, our brains are the little spinning wheel because
Yep.
we're processing, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot in this episode, like visually like that I just loved. The like almost crash of the shuttle that's never going to be a crash of our shuttle. It's
Mm.
actiony. I don't know. It doesn't do much for me personally.
No, no. It was nice for Erica to show off her talents, and to save the day, so to speak,
Mhm.
but it really in the great scheme of things, did that action scene matter?
Yeah. Yeah. It's because it's a season finale. We need a little bit of action, right? I don't know.
There's
Maybe
plenty of
that's too
action on the
cynical.
ground. There's plenty of action in this besides that.
Yeah, but they got to put as much in as they can, you know.
Yeah, that's, just no.
Yeah. Um so yeah, they're on the planet now. We have the, creepy moving through the city at night kind of thing. We have the Gorn youngling, that whole thing. Um all I could think of, and again, this is given what we know about the Gorn later and all that kind of stuff, is like, y'all just shot a kid and then left
Mhm.
it in the middle of the road for the Gorn to find. Like,
So dumb.
oh,
Like, if the noise didn't alert them, which it did, it's not
mhm,
like phasers have silencers or excuse me, suppressors. There's no such thing as a silencer, y'all, it's a
mhm.
suppressor. So, that sound that guns make in the movies and television with the suppressor on, that's not how it sounds.
Yeah, no. But certainly not for phasers for sure
Yeah.
either. Um,
Although, it would be kind of a good idea to make a silent mode for phasers, right?
it's not a bad idea. It
You know?
feels like it should be possible.
Yeah, I feel like it should be, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we won't get too much into that, but my laser pointer, I know it's not the same thing. My laser pointer makes no noise. I know it's not the same thing.
Hey, it's still a beam of light
But
either way. Still an energy type beam, so
yeah, totally. Um so we're talking let's go back to the Enterprise a little bit now here because we've got Spock trying to determine if Chapel is alive, and Uhura's crazy idea, and Pelia's I love a wild theory. I love Pelia. She's so
mhm.
great.
Well, and how she's just recalibrating the deflector dish because and Uhura's like, "Yeah, I that could be useful." And I'm like, "If Pelly is doing it, it's important, you
Mhm.
guys. Don't diss Pelia."
Totally. Um but yeah, basically, they need to take out this thing on the planet that's generating the field that's preventing the beaming and the scanning and all the what's its. So,
The
uh,
MacGuffin, yes, the
yeah.
MacGuffin. We gotta take that out.
And meanwhile, debris from the Cayuga has been kind of periodically raining down. So they get the idea of like just subtly redirect the saucer section of the Cayuga so that it crashes into this tower. And the Gorn won't really care about it because debris has been falling all this time. And if they just subtly angle it so that it hits the atmosphere and then at the last second do a course correction so that it hits the tower, perfect. And I was like, that's cool. I like that. That was some neat problem solving in Star Trek and something that we haven't seen before, which, that counts for a lot in my books when they do something that like, oh, we've never quite seen something like that before. That's cool.
Agreed. I was curious though, because they don't really ever explain this on screen, but I've got some headcanon for it that Dave and I came up with. Why was Spock the only person who could do the retro
Mm.
rocket thing?
I okay, I have a couple things on that. I think like because of the chaotic nature and stuff, it would require really quick mathematics in your head to
Sure.
calculate like where the last burn is supposed to happen and when. Um, A and B, he was lying out of his butt because he wanted to go see if Chapel was
Well,
alive.
yeah, I know that was a part of it, but another part of it, he's stronger than humans, like physically
Mhm,
stronger than humans. And also, he is calm. He's calm in a fight.
mhm.
So if he happened to have to fight anything, spoiler alert, then he would be cool under pressure and would be able to quickly, he would be able to think on his feet, as they say.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I felt it was like a combination of like Spock was, yeah,
Well,
trying to get
yeah.
over there, but
And I think because Una is in command at this point,
mhm,
and I think that if she had thought his statement was BS, that she would have called him on it.
mhm.
So, and I think she also sympathized with his need to see what was going on with Chapel, but there were other pros to the situation of him being the one to go.
Oh, totally,
So,
yeah,
so
yeah,
I think that she was working from both emotion and logic in that decision.
mhm. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so this is where I have a bit of an issue with the episode again. So Spock goes over to the Cayuga saucer to plant these things. There seems to be, and I say seems to be because we get no confirmation whatsoever. There seems to be only one survivor, Christine Chapel, who happens to have been the recent paramour of the person who's coming over to happens to float by a window. There's a lot to suspend your disbelief here. Um, lot of coincidence, which Star Trek is no stranger to, for sure.
Mhm.
Um, but even putting all of that aside, like no one checks, like Chapel survived. Presumably other people survived, or at least hopefully other people survived. There's no check. There's no like rewatching it, even when Chapel wakes up, there are other bodies and stuff. She doesn't check any of them. She doesn't assess anything. She doesn't scan the rest of the ship to see if there's other life signs, other survivors and stuff. And there's no mention made, even if there was a line saying, like, it's unfortunate there's no time to check if there's other survivors or something, which would be callous, but at least they would have paid some lip surface to it. Um, I can't be the only one who is like, wait.
No, especially when earlier in the episode, Spock surmises that there are pockets of oxygen on the ship still where there
Mhm.
could be survivors. So hers is not the only pocket of oxygen.
Yeah.
But in the situation that she's in, I can understand why she behaved the way that she did to a point. To
Mhm.
a point. My big niggle is, okay, she goes in and she restores power to the section that she's in, and the computer tells her she has 1 hour of power, and then she starts rifling through supplies. You know what you could have been doing at that time? Getting in the damn EV suit. Get in the EV suit first, then go rifle through supplies. Then, if you have time, check for people, because if you die, then everybody else dies too. So self-preservation first. It's like how they tell you to put the oxygen mask on yourself and then put it on somebody else. Survival first. But it's not logical for her to start going through supplies first. I'm like, girl, you are in a ship that is obviously, you have 1 hour of oxygen, and you're not going to get in the EV suit first? I mean, you don't have to put the helmet on immediately and trigger the interior oxygen stuff. Just put it on. You can't get into something like that in 2 seconds.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, I had that same thought too, for sure.
Also, pounding on the window, really?
I know.
Really?
I mean, for myself, I probably would have done that and then gone, well, that was dumb. I'm not a trained astronaut.
Yeah. I would have been
feel
more like,
Chapel would have been, yeah.
wave. Motion gets attention. Pounding on glass in the void of space?
Yep.
No.
But so yeah, the big coincidence of all of that was annoying to set up the reunion and stuff, which admittedly I like Spock and Chapel and I like their dynamic and I like the messiness of everything that's happened. So but just the leaps that are made, that have to be made to set up what happens in this episode, are just too much, and I feel like that could have been smoothed over a little bit better. I don't know.
A lot.
I'm
It could have
I'm
been
not a
smoothed over
writer,
a lot.
but yeah.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of writing in this that I have trouble with. So,
I
which is,
unfortunately agree.
it's difficult because, I've spent a lot of this season, especially with these 2 episodes that were really big swings, episodes 7 and 9, and saying, the writers have earned my trust. And unfortunately, with this episode, they've now lost some of that trust.
Ooh, yeah, yeah. We'll get to our final thoughts for sure. There's the cards on the table. There's a lot in this episode I love. There's a lot I really don't like. So, yeah, but they do. So, I don't know. Do we want to talk a lot about the fight on the bridge with the Gorn? What was that Gorn up to? What was he trying to do?
Well, and that's the thing. We're in this mindset that Gorns are just savage beasts, but obviously they're not. They have spaceships.
Yeah.
They have environmental suits. They were trying to break into the main computer. So why? Did they think that they were going to discover all of the weaknesses of Starfleet? Stuff like that, even once you're in the computer, is protected. So how many firewalls did you think you would have? Just this first one? I mean, just there. What was the point of getting into the computer?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious about that. Like what that Gorn was after. Interesting. I think, and this is the first time we've seen an adult Gorn in Strange New Worlds, right?
True.
I liked the design. I thought it was really cool, and in the 0G and the environmental suit and stuff. And that final fight and all of that, it's cool. It's all that kind of stuff. I actually felt really bad for the Gorn, the way he died, or
That's
she,
horrible.
the way they died. That was pretty awful.
But at the same time, it was, kill or be killed.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But, and that scene where you don't see anything and then you see the tail drop down. Oh my, that reminded me of Aliens so much.
100%.
So much. That scene where it's dropping down behind Lambert. Just, yeah. No, it wasn't dropping down behind Lambert. Anyway, you guys know what scene I mean.
It's been a while.
Yeah. So it's it had a nice nod to it, I think, because the xenomorphs are also very reptilian, and so I thought that was a nice nod. That was a nice nod. If it was a nod, which I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah.
But again, this is why you have Spock in a fight, because even while he's being choked to death, he's coming up with solutions in his mind. And after Chapel distracts the Gorn by shooting a phaser at it, he just grabs this jagged piece of metal and crams it into that helmet.
Yeah.
So
I did also like the physics of the scene.
yes,
That thing that they do in space scenes that I love, because the frustration is so, like, it's just, and she ticks it with her finger and it's just out of reach, and like, if it's that far apart, they're gonna, if unless you have something to push against, or it's flipping around so that the handle comes closer to you or whatever, it's only gonna get further from you. And I love that sense of frustration. Didn't see exactly how she grabbed it exactly, but
no, we
yeah.
didn't, because we were busy seeing Spock getting choked.
Mhm.
But it's interesting because the first time I watched it, I thought that she tripped on the railing on the bridge, but I
Mm.
realized that she didn't. She did that purposely
Yeah.
because she needed to brace herself to shoot that Gorn.
I
Because
love that. That was
yeah,
cool.
yeah, that
Because
is space physics.
she like hooks her foot on it and like pivots, right?
Yeah, and so
And
she's
like
got one foot on one
pushes.
side and one foot on the other, so she is, like,
Yeah.
locked to that railing, and so she won't go flying out the window when she shoots the phaser. Fra Phaser? Phaser. When she shoots the phaser, guys.
I'm listening. What? That was dumb. Sorry. Um, I feel like Dr. McDonald consulted on the physics of the pivot there, because like that was something that I rewound. That's how old I am. I backed it up and rewatched that. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. I really loved how she did that.
Yeah, that was smart.
Sounding like Pelia suddenly.
Yep.
Oh, love it. So okay. Uh Down on the planet, we've got a bunch of stuff going on. We the landing party gets captured, and they're detecting human life signs, right? And they go there and they're captured. The force field goes up. And we find out who has captured them. Of course, it's Scotty, Montgomery Scott.
The
I
second he opened his mouth, Dave and I
Yep,
were both, "Scotty?"
absolutely. Martin Quinn, oddly enough, the first Scotsman to play Scotty ever.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, I was listening to everything he said, I like, I can't detect any faults in his brogue, not a single well, of course not, he's freaking Scottish. Born in
Finally.
Scotland.
All the love to James Doohan and Simon Pegg and the person whose name I can't remember, who voiced him last season in Strange New Worlds. None of them actually Scottish.
Mhm.
They did a wonderful job. But to have an actual Scotsman in Martin Quinn playing Scotty, that's pretty cool.
And he just fits. He just fits. I mean, we know this is not the Scotty that we see in TOS or, in the Kelvin movies or what have you, but we see how he could be that Scotty in
Mhm.
the future.
Totally. So he was a ton of fun. I'm really excited to see more of him, and jumping around the episode, but towards the end of the episode, when they all beam back to the Enterprise, and Pike says, Pelia, meet us in sick bay or whatever, I turned to my wife Nikki and I said, Pelia, head back to Earth, we've got your replacement. Just kidding, of course.
Oh, yes,
It's
but
like, the Star Trek fans have spoken. We need Scotty and where he's supposed to be. So, it's just, sorry, it's canon. We got it. No.
yeah, I'm still of the opinion that we should have a season of Pelia and Scotty together while
And that
she's
is,
teaching him everything.
yeah. And that is absolutely what I think we're going to get, which I'm
I
very
sure hope so,
excited about. I think that's
because
really cool.
I'm not ready to let go of Pelia for one thing, and I want to see more of Martin Quinn
Yeah.
as Scotty because, I'm a sucker for a Scotsman. Everybody knows this.
Well, and I think they're setting up some cool stuff, if not just for the season premiere, for the next season, as a whole, I hope, where they have this prior relationship, right? Scotty
Mhm.
was in her class and was her best student but got the worst grades, which, yeah, that sounds like Scotty. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love it. I love their dynamic. I hope we see a lot more of it.
Agree. It's perfection.
For sure. Well, yeah, so we've got okay. The other thing I wanted to talk about is I saw people lumping in the Scotty Soul Survivor thing with the Chapel Soul Surviving thing and saying like, "Oh, this is so ridiculous. What a weird coincidence." I'm more forgiving of it with Scotty because like if you look at the timeline, and it's kind of a weird way to think about it, but this character could have been anybody. Like
Mhm.
it's because he was the sole survivor of all of this that he becomes Scotty and turns into that character in the original series. Again, timey-wimey production versus in-universe stuff. But if it was Sally Jones from New Mexico who did all that, she would have gone to the Enterprise and then maybe become the engine. You know what I mean? Like it's
Mhm.
not, I don't know. It's a weird way to explain it, but I don't lump it in the same thing as Chapel being the only one there who Spock saves and yada yada yada.
Well,
This
the
is a
thing
new character to our
yeah.
characters.
Well, see, the thing is, that Chapel's gonna survive.
Hmm.
You know that Chapel's gonna survive no matter what, because she's in TOS.
Yeah.
So she has script immunity. She's not going to die. They might beat her up something fierce, but she is not going to die
Hmm.
because they're not going to break canon.
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah,
yeah. And I mean, neither is Scotty, but he's a new character as far as our
and Strange
characters
New
are
Worlds.
concerned.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah,
and
there's a
the
fine
thing,
line, but it's distinct to me.
yeah, and I think that Scotty is right now showing the reason why he's going to be the miracle worker in the future,
Hmm.
because the way that he rigged up that system to make his ship look like it was a Gorn ship,
Yeah.
that's genius. And that's why he
Hmm.
survived. So, anyway, but yeah, coincidences like that don't bother me because, again, script immunity.
Yeah,
And
for
and
sure.
besides, I'm so happy to have Scotty.
Absolutely. So we do eventually locate the survivors of this planet, which if that's all the survivors, yeeks, there's not very many left.
I
Um,
think I think there are other survivors. I think they allude to other survivors being on the planet because when Pike gets back to the Enterprise and they're trying to beam up the rest of the people, and he's like, "No, there were hundreds of them."
oh, okay.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
but there's just this one pocket in town.
Yeah. That makes sense. Um, and along with Battelle and her some of her crew members, they're there as well. But we we get this really interesting scene in the shuttlecraft, and of course, we as the audience figure out exactly what's happened. I think before the characters do, which is maybe a little surprising, but Pike has his suspicions. But we get the Gorn attacking them in the shuttle, or threatening them in the shuttle, and Battelle gets right in front of the Gorn, and the Gorn looks at her and senses something and then runs off. And we're like,
Mhm.
oh, great. Okay. So Battelle is infected with the Gorn progeny, I guess. So yeah. How do we feel about that? What's going on there?
So it's predictable.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't like there being another reason for Pike to be freaking out about Battelle.
Mhm.
So, yeah. And again, I'm sure in his mind he's going, "This is why I should have never gotten involved."
Yeah. I do like, oh, I was gonna say I like that they're not fridging her, but they freeze her at the end of the episode, so they kind of
They
I
they
I know it's
sedate
not
her and put her in a stasis field. So yeah, she is technically um
technically
t- fridged without being dead yet.
Yeah. I didn't think of that until just now, but I am glad that they haven't killed her off, but at the same time they're making her the main peril to like influence our male main character. So there's still a little bit of that not dial turning and manipulation going there.
Still, why did they not put her in the transporter buffer?
Hmm.
That would put her in stasis completely,
Yeah.
with no chance of her waking up.
Yeah, but they also do have stasis technology besides that though, right? That
Yeah, I
is
realize that,
less
but
risky.
what if sick bay gets destroyed? Bye bye Battelle.
Yeah, but bye anybody in sick bay as well anyway.
Yeah,
So I don't know. I don't
I
see
just
the
feel like
difference.
well, for one thing, no one would see her. So, I don't know. It just seemed to me like that would have been an easier way
Yeah.
because
We do know more that's more risky though, right? Because of
yeah,
pattern degradation or whatever Scotty calls it. Yeah.
that's true. But how many years did Scotty stay alive in a pattern buffer?
75, but Ensign
Mm,
Franklin, who is with him, didn't either, right? He didn't
yeah,
survive. But
yeah. But I wasn't saying for all time, but for
no.
a couple of days until they figure this out. But they've got bigger problems right now.
Yeah. No, I think stasis, it's something that is pretty common though, right? So I don't know. I didn't have a problem with that personally, but
Yeah, it was just something I thought of, but it's it's just, I just feel like with her being laid out on a bio bed with a stasis field, at some point she's going to wake up and at some point that stasis field is going to fail and bad things are going to happen. I really hope that's not the case. I really, really do. But I'm not very optimistic about that right now.
nah. Well, if for nothing else, we're gonna need next season the cliched scenes of Pike looking at her frozen form,
Mhm.
gazing wistfully and with all the regrets on his face.
Yeah, great.
Sorry. Ah.
Yeah, really, really looking forward to the letdown that will be the season premiere of season 3.
Well, we'll see. I'm still hopeful, but
Well, here's my thing. I'm just going to say this now. When has there ever been a season-ending cliffhanger in Star Trek where the premiere episode of the following season was excellent? 0 times.
I'm in the minority, but I would say Time Zero Part 2. I
No,
really love that two-part. I know a lot of people don't, but I love that one.
no, no. They do not have a good track record. They do not.
This
The
is true.
only the only cliffhanger that I was ever okay with in Star Trek was season 2 of Lower Decks when they take Freeman into custody. And the reason that I was okay with that was because the story in the episode had been completed. We
Mhm.
didn't need to know what happened. We weren't hanging on a thread wondering whether they rescued the Archimedes, whether the Lepurians were still living. They finished that story and then they gave us this new one, which is the same thing that Marvel's Agents of Shield would do, which was brilliant. It's like you finish the story that you have and then you tease something else in a cliffhanger
Mhm.
because that's more interesting and far less frustrating than this crap.
Yeah. Well, for me personally, I don't mind the cliffhanger as much, but the the I'm gonna put a comment by Nick up here. Um, what bugged me about this was, yeah, Pike freezing at the end. I don't know what that was about. Like, he's not one for a lot of indecision. Um, and I felt like that was just stretched out to be really artificial feeling at that
It
point.
was. It was terrible
Mhm.
storytelling. Terrible. And this is what I'm going to say right now, since we're already talking about this, and we still have more to talk about during the episode. But my big problem with this episode, now, if they had if Pike had just made the decision and then they cut it off, I wouldn't have been quite as angry. I would have still been angry. But what options does he have? He has two options, right?
Mhm.
Actually, no, he only has one option, which is to leave. He has to leave because if he doesn't, he gets destroyed. And then all of those people that are in the Gorn's capture are gone. They will be gone. So he has to make the decision to leave. The only other outcome of this season premiere would be some other ship showing up to help, like the Farragut, which would make me so much angrier. Because I feel like at this point, the only way you can take this is Pike making the order to leave. They have to leave. They have to make repairs. They have to come up with a plan to get their people back. They cannot do that if they stay there and get destroyed.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I have no idea where it's gonna go, but like that makes sense to me. But
Yeah.
yeah, we'll get. It's the Titan. Wait, no, it's the Farragut.
Oh, it was so worth it for the Titan, you guys. I still get tears in my eyes every time I watch that episode.
um, but yeah, so yeah, we're left on the colonists being kidnapped along with a bunch of our characters, some of whom have plot armor and some of
Mhm.
whom don't, which is interesting, I guess. But I don't know.
No way in hell they're killing off Ortegas and Laon. There would be
No,
riots.
no, absolutely. But I guess there's that question mark there, I guess. But
Yeah.
yeah, Sam Kirk isn't going to yet.
No, he's gonna die on that weird planet in Operation Annihilate.
Yeah. William Shatner with the little taped on mustache.
Which is why Sam's mustache is so dumb. Actually, the mustache has gotten better throughout this season.
It has.
It's not as porn star as it was before.
Yeah, I mean, I need to go back, but like, is it just that I've gotten more used to it, or is it actually better?
I think in season 1, it was not a real mustache. In season 2, it definitely is. I can tell.
Okay.
Because I know what Dan Janot looks like without a mustache. So,
Yeah.
and I know what he looks like with like, scruff and with like a full, mustache and beard. So, yeah, this is definitely his mustache.
Yeah. Great casting, by the way, because I totally buy him as Paul Wesley's brother. Like,
Absolutely.
they really look like brothers. That's
They
really
and
good.
their chemistry as brothers is
Totally.
so good. It's so good.
Yeah, absolutely. So okay. There's something else I wanted to talk about, and it suddenly fled my mind. So, that's really annoying. Um, yeah, no, it's
I'm
gone.
sorry.
No,
Was
it's
it
okay. It was me.
was it about getting the thing out of the shuttle or was it about um the very Last of Us scene when the Gorn younglings are all running through
Mhm.
the streets because they heard that phaser shot and that was just the whole thing about zombie movie reference. I
Yes, that
love
was good.
that.
That was good too. Yeah.
Good
I will
times.
I will add it to
It's
my
like,
research.
have you not seen a zombie movie? A movie, yes. A zombie, no.
That was good.
Give it time, Spock. You never know what you're gonna come up against in the future.
For sure. What I was thinking was the Gorn. So there's a lot of people that have a lot of issues with, how things match up to TOS and yada yada yada. And the only one that I don't have a problem with it, I'm just awaiting a reason or why or how, is like the nature of the Gorn. And like
Mhm.
there's a bunch of fan answers I can come up with, but I'm waiting to see what the show comes up with because I think it's going to be interesting. And this is kind of the first episode, and interestingly, a lot of reviewers seem to have missed this. This is the first episode in Strange New Worlds where they're making allusions or making reference to maybe there's not as much we know about the Gorn as we think there is, or I worded that wrong, but you get my meaning, right? Like there's more to the Gorn than we realize. And those stuck out to me in this episode where they're kind of like saying like, hey, we're aware, just bear with us. And people seem to be missing that. And I think that's very much on display for us to recognize here.
I agree, because how much have we seen the Gorn on screen? We've got that one episode in TOS. Which one was that? Was
Arena.
that the Arena? Okay.
Yeah.
And we have what happened in episode 9 of season 1. And we have what happened to La'an, her account of what happened to herself. So that is actually very little information about an entire race of people. It's painting all of the Gorn with one brush. And that is never the case. I mean, it's like the whole deal with the Orions. They're just all pirates. When no, they're not. They're not painting everything with the same brush. It's what humans tend to do, especially in science fiction. And so instead of allowing these interesting differences between different cultures within humanity, we're just painting all the Gorn with one brush.
Yeah.
And that isn't fair. Because there's got to be more. We've seen they have intelligence, or they wouldn't have spaceships. Yes, there are breeding planets, but what if the rest of the Gorn? Not all of the Gorn are going to be the same. They're not all going to have the same traditions, the same instincts. There's going to be a variety of things here, and I think that's what they're trying to do. Especially with having that adult Gorn on the Cayuga trying to access the computer. So I really want to know more. I want to know more about the Gorn. I want to know about their hierarchy because, they saw all the younglings hunting together instead of fighting for dominance. That's not something that they've seen before. But again, they're going by very limited experience. So I can't wait to see what they're going to tell us, and it better be good because guys, you really hurt me with this episode.
Oh, that's sad to hear, but I can't disagree either. For the people in the comments, yes, there was also a Gorn in the Enterprise episode in A Mirror Darkly Part 2.
I don't count that.
And there was a Gorn wedding in Lower Decks.
Oh, yes, there was a Gorn wedding. See, and I forgot. I knew that yesterday, and then I conveniently forgot it today.
Gorn wedding!
Yeah, so obviously they have weddings, but they still tried to eat Rutherford. So
yes, they did. Yeah,
they did. They were, maybe they were angry that he crashed the wedding.
It could be, yeah. I mean, nobody likes a wedding crasher.
No. Especially a human. I mean, that reaction could be a future echo of what is going to happen now in Strange New Worlds with the Gorn. I'm just making connections where there are none because it's fun.
Yeah.
But hey, the writers talk to each other all the time, so you never know.
For sure. I had a thought about that, how how they said that like the writers have regular meetings across all the shows to like compare things and that sort of thing. Now, if Star Trek Prodigy gets picked up by, say, an Amazon Prime and season 2 does amazingly well, and Amazon Prime goes to the studio and says, make more of this, please. We want a season 3. Are they still going to talk to the Lower Decks and like,
I would think so.
I would think so, but like it's still I think it was like last night I was just going to sleep, and that meme where your brain whispers something in your ear and you're like, that question came into my head and I was like, huh.
My brain does that all the time. I'll wake up in the middle of the night dying to pee. I get back in bed and my brain goes, hey, do you want to think about the nature of life and death right now? Because I think that would be really fun. I think that you should stay awake for at least an hour considering how you're going to die.
No. Existential dread, Barbie. Sorry.
Loved Barbie, by the way. It also is one of the best examples of what it's like to be a woman.
Yeah, that's what I've heard from people who I believe. And anyway, yeah, it was a very enjoyable experience. Um, so back to this episode. Is there anything else we should talk about? Or is that pretty much cover it?
They were really getting hit hard. That was some really well done shaking on the bridge because these were like major hits,
Hmm.
like people spilling over railings in older series.
Yeah.
Um, and most of these people managed to stay in their seats, which I appreciated. But it was like, because yeah,
Yeah, I did have a flashback to, I think it was Tomorrow is Yesterday, one of the TOS episodes where Uhura's doing this big flop onto her console and then flops way over to the other side. And like, I feel like there was a little bit of an homage to that in something Celia Rose Gooding was doing, but that might have
yeah,
just been me
it was
reading
a
too much into stuff.
no. It was
Yeah,
definitely
right.
there was definitely one of those.
It was great though. I was like, oh yeah, nice.
Hmm.
Very old school. I love it.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah. Uh yeah, anything I guess we've talked about how Pelia and Scotty is going to be the best new team up of the next season.
Hmm.
Whenever we get that, by the way, that's the other thing feeding into this. And no shade whatsoever to the writers and the
No,
actors
no,
who were
no,
on strike. All
no.
the shade to the studios who refused to make a deal with them for what they absolutely deserve. Um, we don't know when we're gonna get this next season. It'll be 2025 at the earliest.
Hmm.
I think like it's not going to be next year. They stopped production before they'd filmed anything, and we have no idea when they're going to get back to it now. So this could be a very very long cliffhanger where there's going to be a good chunk of people that are going to be like, what happened last season 2-3 years ago? Oh right. So yeah.
This is why you don't do cliffhangers.
So yeah, maybe not good. I guess that's the last note to leave on, which is kind of sad. But final
Oh,
thoughts,
yeah. In case
ratings.
people didn't notice, my middle name today was auto-corrected. So, if you get that, then if you don't, I'll explain it later. Um, this episode was very frustrating for me.
Mhm.
There were some things that I really loved, like Scotty, and there were a lot of things where I'm just like, "What are you doing?" And I feel like I said, I've lost some faith, not all faith, but I've lost some faith in the writers because of this, because they were batting 1,000. I mean, even though I didn't love Among the Lotus Eaters, it was just, um, I don't know. It was still better than this, I guess, because at least it wasn't a cliffhanger for one thing, and I understood
Mhm.
the themes that they were talking about, even though that was also a very frustrating episode for me, but not nearly as frustrating as this one. I really wanted to be excited about it, I wanted to like it, but and the only thing I came away with was a curiosity for what the hell is going on in the with the Gorn, because obviously they're not all the same, and thinking that they are and will obey the rules that the very few rules that we have seen is ludicrous. So uh I give this one big saucer section of the Cayuga crashing into the planet.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, yeah, this one was a mixed bag for me. There are things that I really liked about it and things that gave me pause. And Scotty again, great, wonderful performance. Love the actor they have. Um, the visual effects, I mean, always top notch, really, really good. I liked the problem solving of how they took out the interference and stuff. It was kind of cool, something we haven't really seen before. Um, but again, just the as much as I love the Spock Chapel stuff and what it means for their characters, the setup for that was really, it just did not work for me. And the other thing is, and I've gone on the record and people may disagree, but Pike and Battelle, I don't know. I don't see them as a really big, great storybook romance that necessarily needs a ton of work put into salvaging. I like the character. I like Battelle. I'm concerned for her. I hope she pulls through because I really do like the character. I'm just like, her and Pike, they're okay together, I guess. They're not my like they're not my OTP or whatever people say nowadays. I don't really care if they break up at some point.
Yeah,
Whatever.
I see them breaking up after this, frankly.
Yeah.
I think Pike will break it off.
He really likes camping.
Yeah. You know what? I'm with Battelle on that one. It's like, I do not like camping. I'm sorry. I want a
Yeah.
bathroom. I don't want to squat in the forest. Okay. Because, women cannot stand up to pee, for one thing. Anyway, yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that's why, you and Pike would break up, and then you and Spock would get together and enjoy all the room service in the world. Yeah,
Yeah. Spock's always been my guy. Let's be honest.
totally. But yeah, so or what was yeah, so a lot of things that I'm not
Thank
I'm
you,
not
Matthew. I
uh
recently rewatched all 3 seasons of Lower Decks in preparation for the season premiere. So
so my final thoughts still, the lot of things that I like, a lot of things I didn't. I can't remember what I was saying, but uh I'll give it one gruesomely killed Gorn on the bridge of the Cayuga, I guess. So yeah.
yeah.
Just a couple more ratings here. Hot dropped saucer sections. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, that's the 3rd time we've seen that just in New Trek.
All right. Well, I guess that's it for a little while. We will be doing live shows, of course, when Lower Decks comes out, because how can we not? But after that, I mean, Discovery next year, I guess. And then after that, could be some lean times for not just Star Trek fans, but television and film fans. So I hope y'all like reality television, because the studios are doubling down on that. And
Hey guys, don't
great.
watch reality television. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Mm.
Don't give them money.
And if you do, watch a British show called Taskmaster, which is not that same type of reality television, but it's hilarious and I love it and it's so much fun. Seriously, just go look up Taskmaster if you've never watched it. Go watch it. It's hilarious. British comedians, y'all. They're the funniest people in the world.
Yeah. Oh, also, my recommendation, if you have stars, go watch Men in Kilts, because it is the most fun that you'll ever have, following 2 Scotsmen road tripping through Scotland, and learning more about their own history, their own country, etc. And that would be with Sam Heughan and Graham McTavish, whom people might know from Outlander. I personally have never watched Outlander, and I'm never going to, because they do the Battle of Culloden, and I'm not sitting through that, y'all. I am not. That is too much. It's too much. But yeah, even if you don't know who they are, it's delightful. And season 2 will be coming soon on that. So
nice. So yeah, next month for Lower Decks. We'll take a little break until then, but it's been fun as always. Brandi, you've still got Boldly Go going strong. Where can people find that?
you can find that anywhere that you have podcasts. So Apple Music and Apple Podcasts, rather, Spotify, things like that. Or, just there's always a link that I provide on Twitter and other social media that will take you directly to the website. So there's that. I did get a bit behind with the early release of episodes 7 and 8 and 9 and 10. So I'm still working on getting episodes for 9 and 10 of Strange New Worlds done. We haven't even recorded them yet because the person that I have doing those with me was not available last week. And so, but there will be a new episode dropping Monday for episode 8, and it's a bit of a long one, but it was a really good conversation, and I just couldn't cut it out. Couldn't cut stuff out of that. So, but you can also find it on Twitter at Boldly Go Pod, or on Instagram also at Boldly Go Pod. So.
Awesome. Yeah, and my podcast, Positively Trek, that I do with Barry DeFord, there was supposed to be an episode this week. I could not get it edited in time. It's a really fun one, though, and I can't wait for everybody to hear it. We talk about all of the how do I put it? The diegetic and character produced music in Star Trek, from the very beginning to the most recent stuff. So kind of in celebration of Strange New Worlds musical episode, we talk about everything from Uhura singing in Charlie X to Vic Fontaine and the Doctor in Voyager, Vic Fontaine in Deep Space Nine, obviously, Doctor in Voyager. We even briefly mention Borgrati singing in Picard. It's the history of music in Star Trek that the characters produce, I guess. So it was a lot of fun. I really hope you guys like the episode, and that should be coming in just a few days. So yeah.
Excellent.
Thank you all so much for joining us this week, and thank you, of course, to everybody who's watching after the fact. We appreciate you as well. And we mentioned Riker's trombone. Don't worry, it's in there.
Riker's trombone. Wink, wink. Sorry, it had to be done.
It had to be done.
It was just sitting there, waiting for me to pick it up.
Well, until next month, I'll take you home again, Kathleen. And we'll see you next time in the Unready room. Bye, everybody.
# Stave Star Trek Prodigy. Live logs and proper.